We are here. We are here with my man Chris from Taste Take. Man, let's just jump right into it, man. I mean, this episode was titled "Betrayed." What I thought was a very dumb move, and this just speaks to again the whole kid. And this is actually graphics or Talos. That's his real daughter. So that I give him reasons of why you threaten my daughter, you bring up my daughter's name. I'm gonna snap. But it's so silly to me, Chris, that he snapped at this moment where these missiles can launch if you don't get the codes. Bob tells him, he doesn't even threaten Gaia's life. He just says that your daughter's a snitch or whatever. And that makes him shoot the man in the chest, killing him, Chris. I don't know if it's to this extent, Chris, but as soon as he did that to me, the first thing I thought of, and I know a lot of people were hating on this man for years and still do, Peter Quill, a.k.a. Star-Lord.
Oh. Yeah,
Infinity War, losing his anger, Thanos. They could have got the gauntlet. A lot of, you know how the rest plays out.
Yeah.
As soon as Talos shot at him, I'm like, dude, you just risk your not only your daughter's life, but this whole conversation of humanity, all because he brought up your daughter's name. Am I tripping, Chris? Was that a idiotic decision? On top of, then he makes it worse, Chris, because then he calls Gaia, who's his mole or plant in this situation around enemies. What if she didn't pick up the phone, Chris? What if she was talking to Gravik, Chris? What if she was busy?
Yeah.
The world's over, the show's over.
You are 1,000% not wrong in thinking that. I didn't go deep into it.
That's where I was.
But no, it makes a lot of sense. And then that whole to your point, it's like it is very Star-Lord of it.
I thought it was a very silly move because again, this is a show. I don't know. I won't call it a plot hole, but that was a very risky thing to do, to kill the guy that has the codes and then assume that Gaia was going to be able to pick up the phone, that she wasn't in the same room with Gravik, that she wasn't near her phone in general. And what if the phone was on her bed? And I don't know, man. I think that was a very rookie mistake for him to do that and risk the lives of, the war to start, but also his daughter's life, because he didn't. And this, I don't know. I don't really want to prolong this, but then he calls her, tells her to get the codes. Chris, that's a lot of pressure. How did you expect for her to get the codes? As we see the scene, she has to go into the room, break her, her undercover nature, had to find the man's memory. Lucky enough, she's a smart character that she realized that the son was in all the things and Zachary was a code name. I don't know, Chris. Maybe I'm just not letting this go. That was I don't know if that's a bad written scene, if that's a character flaw. Is that just show that he is so a fatherly figure that he's willing to risk it all just because? And I mind you, Chris, he didn't threaten to kill his daughter. He just mentioned Gaia's name. I mean, hell, you can't even say her name and he's going to snap like that?
No, you're not wrong. And I think if he's really a old school general, he's kind of acting out of character, out of a general's character, because it's like, bro, generals have family too, but they don't bring the case for that. So it's just like, it seems a little extreme. And I don't know if there's some twist coming or if it's just kind of maybe like a little poorly written. Maybe the AI didn't write it right. But I think it's a little out of character.
I 100%
for someone who's supposed to be like an expert of the art of war.
Yep, he was the leader of the Skrulls and Captain Marvel. That is something I do remember, and he's been around all these different leaders all these years. Yeah, I thought that was a very dumb decision. And to your point, as far as like what does it speak to later in the season, Talos told Nick Fury in episode 1 that he doesn't want to kill any of his people. Like when they were fighting that arms dealer in the art house, he was like, Nick, don't shoot him, and then Nick killed him. He was mad. He doesn't want to lose anyone. Humans and Skrulls included. So I think we might see him be pushed to the edge. He might kill because when he finds out what happens to his daughter, I don't know. We'll talk about it, Chris. Will he blame Nick or will he be on a blood hunt and try to find Gravik because of what he did? Zoom in and see who else is in that little pod. Is that I'm seeing who that black guy is, Chris. I'm trying to zoom in. I know I want to bring him up. That kind of looked like an Anthony Mackie. I don't know if I'm tripping, Chris. Am I tripping? Is that Cap? It's a black guy. We know I don't think it's Don Cheadle because he has a hairline.
But it could be a black woman, though. No,
it looks like a man. I'm trying to. Can y'all see it on? I'm trying. That's as far as I can zoom in. It looks like a dude.
I don't know.
Got a hairline here. Well, I don't know if y'all can see my mouse, but
yeah, no, the hairline crispy.
I think that's the dude. I don't know if it's Don Cheadle. I don't know if it's Captain America. We don't got a lot of black folks in the MCU. So I don't know who that Blade, Mahershala Ali. But also too, I don't know if that white woman, if that's Professor Dalton, the person that's creating the experiment. I don't know who this white woman is. But I just want to know, man, who's in these pods, Chris. I just wanted to take a lineup and see who they got lined up to be a Skrull. But they don't launch the missions. They're able to. And also, too, to be honest with you, Chris, I'm like, this is episode 3. We're not about to see a World War III break out in an episode of the question at hand. Well, 2 in the last few scenes here, Chris. Number 1, Gaia makes it out, but then she runs into Gravik, who says, I knew it was you. Essentially, I gave you all the intel, and you came to be the snitch. She's, turn around. No, if you're going to kill me, do it in my face. And she ran, boom, shoots her in the chest, Chris. Out of body experience, 1 shot to the chest. Question at hand, Chris, is she dead? Do you bring in Emilia Clarke for 3 episodes?
She was in Last Christmas, great movie.
Last Christmas, great movie. Yeah, very underrated movie.
No, I don't think she's dead. I thought about that too, because it's like another movie thing. It's like, oh, 1 shot, bro. Like, you're a goon. Like, you're not saving bullets. Like, you could just really kill her. And then it's like we just saw him heal, so maybe she has some of that they show later. From the extremists or something like that, but I never for a second thought she was dead. And I know, like, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I understand she's a big name, so like you wouldn't just do that.
Yeah. So, and I agree with you, Chris. My reasoning, and this is immediately when I watched the episode, and this is the power of. We talked about the lack of marketing, but one of the marketing was the trailer. And I don't watch as many trailers as I used to back in the day, because they do give away a lot in trailers nowadays.
Yeah, same.
I don't know if you remember, Chris, but in the trailer of this show, there was a lot of shots of one Emilia Clarke throughout this series. I got a couple here I'm going to bring up on the screen. There's a scene that is Emilia Clarke seemingly crying over someone's death. I assume that Talos might be meeting his demise in this show, if I were to guess. We talked about him being on a blood hunt and him trying not to get someone killed. He ends up getting himself killed. There's 1 shot of her that we haven't seen in the show. There's another shot, Chris, that's in the trailer that we haven't seen. And in particularly, this what I'm getting at, Chris, there's several shots in the trailer that we haven't seen in the show. Now, when I tweeted about this a little bit earlier, because I saw a lot of people saying, because some people were taking it like Marvel's killing all the women. They kill Maria Hill, they killing Emilia Clarke, they just hate women. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. But no, I don't think that's the case. Fringing, I think, is the term when they, a woman's death or a woman character has to build up a man. I don't think that's the case here. So there's that. And then some people are like, well, we know Marvel likes to trick people with their trailers. Sure. But I don't think that's the case in this matter. But the biggest point that you mentioned, Chris, is there's a reason why they mentioned Super Skrulls like 10 times in this episode. There's also a reason why they showed Gravik getting his hand cut and made it an emphasis to show that he can re-heal himself. That's because, like you said, Chris, I think that she did take, I don't know if it's a shot, this is a drink, if you got to go on a machine to get to Super Skrulls, whatever it is, I think she took it. I think she took the medicine to make her a Super Skrull, and we don't see the body. They linger on the shot of him driving away, but we don't, I was waiting for her to maybe pop up, but they got to, build suspense and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think that she's going to be a Super Skrull later in the show, some way, somehow.
Yeah. I mean, she wouldn't sign on to this project to just end it right here. Like, she read that script. Like,
there's another shot that we haven't seen yet, and another shot that we haven't seen yet. And also this shot, if you look behind her, that looks like Nick Fury's wife. Well, I think it was more of a wife. But hey, you might be right. You might be right.
No, I think you're right because of the hair.
But people said on Twitter, "Oh, Marvel trickery with trailers." But I'm
also reference the Hulk. And
the Hulk
Infinity War and all
Infinity
that.
War, yeah. And
which I never remember that,
but
that happened.
Whatever. But we'll see. I think she's going to be okay. But I guess the bigger question, Chris, is if she is alive, is that a Marvel issue that they just keep fake killing characters just to bring them back? I mean, we talked about Winter Soldier earlier. Nick Fury literally faked his death. We're assuming Maria Hill's going to come back some way, somehow. And the same with Emilia Clarke. Does it take away stakes?
No, not for this one, because like you're making a valid point, but I don't think this one in particular does that, because like we didn't warn her, like they didn't bury her, like this is a quick scene. She was just shot. Like No one said she was dead. He just drove away right away. So like anything could have happened. She could have just passed out. She could have had a bulletproof vest on and just was playing dead. Like, so this one I'm gonna give him a pass if she comes back. If and when she comes back.
Only issue I have with the bulletproof vest thing is when what the show has shown us is when the Skrull dies, they go back to their form. Finger get cut off. We saw a Skrull finger. The captain in this episode got shot. So I guess I'm kind of going back. I think she could be dead, but they're going to find a way to bring her back. And I think that way is she has extremis in her blood. Or if she's still alive, you can put them in a machine and they can, bring themselves back. But to go to answer my own question, does it take away from the moment? No, because I think at the end of the day, it still shows us that Gravik is not about those games. He killed her cold-blooded. I'm moving on to the next one, right? He didn't hesitate. Like she was going to give him like a little speech. You're a leader. And he just shot her. So I think it's still, the impact is still there that he's willing to kill someone he grew up with when he was a kid, someone that's obviously his nemesis daughter. So I think it still works in that extent. And I don't think it takes away, if we see her come back, it doesn't take away from the gravity of the scene that he's willing to kill someone like her at any moment. So we'll see. It's all about execution, how they run.
Oh, you didn't mean that.
Yeah, I did. It's just, it's scripted, bro. I got it right here. But speaking of this last scene, Chris, Nick Fury's wife, she gets a call, or not a call, but she gets a call. I don't know why she had to go through all this just to get a gun. Priscilla. Yes, Priscilla. She gets a call. She goes to this place, very high-end bank.
Sterile,
but she gets a gun. I'm like, why does she, which you would imagine this has to be some important gun, because why didn't she just have a gun in her house? But she goes there, she gets a call, Chris, and immediately I'm like, that's Don Cheadle's voice. The subtitles don't allude to it, but I think someone on Twitter said the Mexican dub says it's Rhodey, James Rhodes, that called. It's Rhodey, Chris. So the question is, I guess it's safe to assume that Rhodey, which was a question last week, is he a Skrull? Was he not? I didn't think he was a Skrull, but your thoughts, Chris. Rhodey's a Skrull, bro. What do you feel about it? Has he been a Skrull since Iron Man 1 with Terrence Howard Main? Has he been a Skrull since the blip? Is he even a Skrull? Maybe he's just working with I don't know, because he seems to be working with the government, Chris.
I didn't understand, because I watched some stuff and read some tweets after the episode today, and they were like, "Oh, that means Rhodes." Like, I didn't understand. Like, I was supposed to know that was Rhodes on the phone. Was that his voice?
You couldn't tell by his voice. Yeah.
Okay. But, no, sorry. And then, but what did he say in the call that said? Hey?
So she said, "I want to talk to Gravik." He said, "Well, he's not here. You got."
He said, "You're talking to me." Yeah.
So I mean, why would Rhodey be talking to Gravik? So like, and plus it also, I guess, to go back, it shows that she's working with Gravik, because in the scene with her and Nick Fury, she's like, when you left, I had to go back to my old self, which is all things Skrulls are important to me. So I guess this scene is showing that she's also working for Gravik for whatever reasons. I talked about earlier, maybe that was her adopted son, and she wants to protect him if that means that she has to get in danger. Yeah, man. So thoughts, Chris, on Nick's baby mama, or at least his wife, being working with the enemy? Is she a double agent? And your thoughts on Rhodes essentially being confirmed to be a Skrull?
If Rhodes is a Skrull, like from the beginning, like would a Skrull, like, could they break their legs like that? From like, is that possible?
From Civil War.
From Civil War. If he's a Skrull, meaning, or if someone just scrolling pretending to be him, then where's the real him?
Right, because what we've been establishing is that if they have taken on a form of these world leaders, as we saw the one news reporter, we saw the prime minister, you would assume that Rhodes has been in that. He's in that. Maybe when I mentioned earlier that black guy, man, that was Rhodes. But yeah, man, because I'm starting to think, Chris, like, even
because wasn't he talking to Nick? Didn't you say that he said no one calls me Nick?
In last week's episode.
But he didn't just meet Nick Fury, so it's like, what did he used to call him in the other Avenger movies? Like,
it's true, bro. That's what it makes me think. Yeah, that maybe they don't have Rhodes, or just, I don't know, bro. I don't know. That's a good question. Because I'm just thinking of like all the roads, not even like trying to go back to 2000 when we first got introduced to Don Cheadle's roads and Iron Man 2, but like his actions in Infinity War, like he brought in the Avengers, and like you think of Civil War, him siding with, I don't know, like I wonder if it, and then, like Agent Ross, how long is Agent Ross?
A little weird. He was talking at the Fury a little weird in that scene when. And that scene, the dialogue was great, like I said, but the scene was weird. Then security gets his hand broken and the gun taken. What kind of security is this?
Right, he's lacking. That's good. I don't know, man. Because my thing last week, the reason I felt like he wasn't a Skrull last week is because when he was talking to the world leaders, and they were like, Nick Fury did this in Moscow. We need to do this, and you need to recommend. Like, why? If Rhodey was against Fury, if he is a Skrull, why wouldn't he just be like, yeah, we need to take him down, kill him, bring him in? But he was like, no, we don't have.
Yeah, he's like, we can't prove that. Nobody trusts the Russians.
Yeah, why would he defend Nick Fury if he's a Skrull and wants to take him down? So it makes me think that there's another Rhodey. But then why would that Skrull impersonate? Like, I guess it plays with the audience, obviously. But why would he impersonate Rhodes if he's talking to Priscilla? Why wouldn't he just be his normal Skrull self? Like, why does it have to be Rhodes' voice on the phone impersonating a Skrull? Well, impersonating him.
Yeah.
Questions that hopefully we'll find out next week, man. But I guess the bigger question for if it is revealed to be a Skrull, that he's been a Skrull, whether it's since the beginning, since we've seen him on screen, or somewhere in between the blip, do you care, Chris? Like, because one of the things I read last week, some scooper online was like, there will be a reveal in this show that one of our favorite characters, or I think they might have said an Avenger, is going to be one of the big reveals of the show. Is one of a beloved Avenger will be revealed to be a Skrull.
Okay, well that checks out. That checks out for that because he is beloved. He has no real. He's one of everyone's favorites.
Yeah.
You're asking me. Wait, what did you ask?
If you find out that Rhodey's been a Skrull, let's just say this whole time, will you be like, oh my? Will it be mind-boggling to you, or is it just like?
It'll be mind-boggling, but then I would imagine rewatching some of that stuff. It wouldn't. I hope it lines up, but it might be like, I don't know. He wouldn't have done that, or he wouldn't have acted that way.
Enjoyed today's commentary. Make sure to like, share. My man's Chris link can be found in the description of this video, including You're Awesome. Stay safe. And if anyone calls you by your first name, they're probably a Skrull. So that's just a pro tip for you all. We will see you guys on the next video.
Peace out. See y'all next week. Nice.